What's good, everyone? We're back talking fantasy football with Sweat. Man, what a crazy first week it was. We got a lot to talk about, so let's just get straight into it. Friday night, Jordan Love injury, unfortunate. Looked like he broke his leg on the replay, but fortunate for Green Bay, he's only going to be out 2 to 4 weeks, somewhere around there. So season's not over for Green Bay, which is good news for them. Now, Josh Jacobs had a good game. Unfortunately, didn't see the end zone, but I still think he's going to have a good game. I was unable to draft him in my league, but if I had the opportunity, he was on the top of my list outside of the top running backs that go in the first round. Him and Joe Mixon, who also had a good game. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But Jaden Reed, man, that boy's going to be really, really good. If you drafted him in your league, good for you. That's a steal. Romeo Dobbs, he's on my team. Unfortunately, Jordan Love overthrew him on one of the plays, missed the touchdown. But I still think Green Bay has a lot of good receivers, and you just kind of don't know. I think, it'll be week by week. This, one receiver will have a good week. Next week, then a different wide receiver will have a good week. So it's kind of, but moving forward with Malik Willis, I'm just not seeing it right now. He had his opportunity in Tennessee and he didn't do very well. So I would start your Green Bay players with caution. If you can dodge them or replace them for the next 2 or 3 weeks whenever Jordan Love comes back, I would probably do that. Just because I don't really have too much faith in Malik Willis at this point. I didn't know that Tucker Kraft, I believe that's his name, he overtook Luke Musgrave's spot at the tight end position. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Christian Watson did get in the end zone. Unfortunately, didn't get too much more opportunities. He only had 3 catches for 13 yards. Moving forward, I think Jaden Reed and Josh Jacobs are for sure going to be your starters. Put them in your lineup, and the rest of the guys kind of just, I would maybe flip a coin. So that's going to be up to you. Moving on to Philly, Saquon Barkley. Giants fans are hurting right now. He absolutely killed it. Jalen Hurts started off kind of slow, had those 2 interceptions, wasn't looking very good, but ended up with 278 yards passing, which is pretty good. Also had 33 yards rushing. Had that deep bomb to A.J. Brown, so that really helped out a lot. I would definitely start all these guys again. Hurts, Barkley. A.J. Brown had a nice game, 5 for 119 and the TD. Devontae Smith, he's going to have a lot of targets this year. I think he's going to be possibly their number 1 wide receiver by the end of the year, by the time it's all said and done. So Dallas Goedert didn't really get enough opportunities. Hopefully that picks up for him because the tight end position this week absolutely sucked. I'm not even sure which tight end at the moment was the number 1 tight end in the league. Kelsey, Laporta, Andrews, those are the top guys. Even Kittle, they all played average this week as far as fantasy points goes. So just keep starting all the Eagles players as you were at the beginning of the season, and that's it for that game. On to the Bills and Cardinals game. Josh Allen did his thing. It looked like we were going to get blown out at the beginning of the game. I knew it was going to be close, and we're never out of a game because we have Josh Allen, but just the way we, I guess you could say, performed, it was what I thought it was going to be. You just, we don't have a number 1 wide receiver, so you didn't necessarily know who the ball was going to go to. James Cook had a decent game. He had 71 yards rushing. He did have 32 yards receiving. So if he can stay up in the 100 all-purpose yards every week, then I would definitely keep starting him with confidence. Keep an eye on him. Going down the list, Keon Coleman had 51 yards, 4 catches. Shakir, 3 catches for 42. Matt Collins did have that TD, 2 for 25. I mean, this is all good for a fan like myself. This is what I expect and this is what I want. But for fantasy-wise, I just I just don't know if you can start any of these receivers with confidence. The only guy I did have confidence is was Khalil Shakir, because Josh has had him as a receiver last year, so they do have that chemistry. But after that, it's like I said in my first video, it's kind of a toss-up. So if you could kind of avoid these guys for now and see who takes the lead as the weeks go forward, then I would hold off on that. Start Josh Allen and James Cook with confidence. The rest, kind of just wait and see. And as far as the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, he was kind of mediocre. I thought they started off really good against us. Looked like they were going to run away with the game in the first half. But James Conner did his thing. I would definitely start him with confidence. And keep an eye on Greg Dortch. Greg Dortch could be a sleeper this year. I think Kyler Murray really likes, it's going to be one of his favorite targets to go to. He plays out of the slot. He can play anywhere. He can play outside. He can play, go on the reverse plays. He gets a lot of targets, so keep an eye on him. Trey McBride, he didn't really get too much opportunity. He did have 5 catches for 30 yards, but you got to keep starting him because I believe Kyler Murray is going to continue looking for him, and he's just going to have a good season. That's just, that's my opinion. I think he's going to end up in the top tier tight ends when it's all said and done. So don't panic too much on that right now. Outside of those two guys, Marvin Harrison, slow start. I'm not going to say we held him down because he did have that play where he was wide open, but Murray just missed him, or else he would have had he would have had a good chunky yards and a TD. He was just left wide open. So start Harrison with caution. Michael Wilson, another one, one catch for 5 yards, so not really there. I would start Kyler, McBride, and Dortch and Connor with confidence moving forward. And that's going to be it for this game. Okay, moving on to Pittsburgh and Atlanta. Hopefully you had Boswell starting in your kicker spot, because he got about 25, 27 points depending on how your point scoring system in your league. Justin Fields played pretty mediocre. Keep an eye out for him. I don't know how Russell's going to be. If you need, I would definitely keep Fields on your bench, just kind of as a wait and see, because he does have that potential to get you your rushing and passing yards. Russell Wilson, not so much of a runner these days, not like he was in the past. So just keep an eye on him. And the rushing, Najee Harris, he had 70 yards, 1 catch for 9 yards. So it's him and Jaylen Warren, they're a good 1-2 punch, but you just don't know who's going to take the lead. I don't know if Warren's going to get a little bit more involved in passing situations, but Najee's not too much of a pass catcher. So kind of just wait and see, I guess. As far as the receivers go, George Pickens, he did pretty good. 6 catches for 85 yards. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get in the end zone. They had 6 field goals the whole game. They did come away with the dub, so good for them. That's pretty much it. There's really nobody else on the list. Pat Freiermuth, he's in the tier 3 range. He's just, it seems like all these tight ends are mediocre right now at this point. So you're just going to have to wait and see and start him. You're just going to have to pick one and start him and see if he can get you some decent points. But that's pretty much it for Pittsburgh. I don't know. You can't really start anyone with confidence except maybe George Pickens. Wait and see for Najee and Jalen. And on to Atlanta. Kirk Cousins. Not a very good game. I thought that Atlanta was going to actually win that game, being that they were at home and that they upgraded their quarterback situation, but they struggled a lot. Bijan had he had an okay game, 68 yards. He did have 43 yards receiving with 5 catches, so that's actually a pretty decent day for fantasy if you guys are in a PPR league. Kyle Pitts, he did get that touchdown with 26 yards and 3 catches. Hopefully he can keep it up and get a little bit more volume, somewhere in the 6 to 7 catch range throughout the year. But I really thought Darnell Mooney was going to be a sleeper, and he just wasn't. 1 catch for 15 yards. Drake London, 2 for 15. They just underperformed as a team. It was a disappointment. But as far as that goes, the only person you can start with confidence, I would say, is Bijan, and Kyle Pitts. I would also start him with confidence. So that's pretty much it for that game. Up next, we have Minnesota and the Giants. Man, Sam Darnold, what a game, right? Looked like he wasn't going to miss. He was 13 for 13, I think, in the first half before someone finally dropped a pass. Aaron Jones had a very good game. 94 yards and a touchdown rushing. 2 catches for 15 receiving. So I would definitely start him with confidence moving forward. Justin Jefferson, of course. 4 catches for 59 yards. That's, about average. That's not really what his normal is. He did have that TD to help save his day. So obviously, you got to start him. The Jordan Addison injury, I'm not sure if that's long-term, short-term. He had an average game, 3 for 35. Yeah, there's really not much else to talk about there, but keep an eye on Sam Darnold. He might be worth a bench stash, and in case you got a bye week coming up early, or he just keeps performing at a consistent level. On to the Giants. Daniel Jones. Not good. 2 interceptions plus that pick 6. Giants are in trouble. They don't have a quarterback. They paid him millions, with that contract a couple years ago. Tough situation for them right now. Devin Singletary underperformed. I thought he was going to get a little bit more volume. He did get 4 catches for 15 yards, which isn't great, but every catch counts in my league because we do have the full point PPR league. So Malik Neighbors, though, he had a pretty good game. 5 catches for 66 yards. So I would start him with confidence moving forward. And also, I believe his name is Wan'Dale. Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson. 6 catches for 44 yards. They got to throw to somebody. Keep an eye on those 2 guys. Darius Slayton is still there. He didn't get that much opportunity. 3 catches for 26 yards, no touchdowns. I don't even know who scored for them. Nobody. They had 2 field goals. So it's going to be tough, but they do got to throw to somebody. So keep an eye on Neighbors and Robinson. I would start them with confidence, maybe in your flex position. Hopefully you got better options, but keep an eye on them. Outside of them 2, it's not looking good right now. Looks like that's going to be it for that game. Up next is Jacksonville and Miami. Oh my gosh, Jacksonville. They should have won that game. ETN fumbled at the goal line, and it was over from there. They let Miami get back into it. Fortunately for me, Tyreek had that nice bomb. I think it was like 80 yards or 75 yards for a TD. But as far as Jacksonville goes, Trevor Lawrence, mediocre game, 162 yards and a TD. Bigsby, I didn't even know that. Bigsby outperformed Travis Etienne. I didn't really keep up with that game too much. But I don't know. Maybe they swapped over to Bigsby once Etienne fumbled. I'm not too sure exactly. But keep an eye on both of those guys. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if he's going to be a bench player. He's more of a wait and see still. It's barely week 1. Gabe Davis had 3 for 62. Mediocre. Brian Thomas Jr., good catch in the end zone for a TD. 4 for 47 and a TD. That's pretty good day for a rookie. Christian Kirk, almost non-existent, had the 1 catch for 30 yards. Travis Etienne, 2 for 15. I drafted Evan Ingram. Very disappointing day. 1 catch for 5 yards. I'm stuck right now at my tight end position because I drafted TJ Hawkinson to sit on my bench for 4 weeks. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. I might have to keep starting him, but we'll see what my options are in the waiver wire this week. But that's pretty much it for Jacksonville. I would start Travis Etienne again. Maybe they'll give him another opportunity, or I know they will, but I don't know if he's on a thin line with Tank Bigsby being there as a backup. Etienne did get that touchdown, so I would start him with confidence. Brian Thomas Jr. with confidence, and everybody else, it's a toss-up. As far as Miami goes, this is what Tua does. He starts off great. He has a great regular season. But we're going to kind of wait to see what he does in the later, towards the end of the season, in the cold months. A-Chain and Mostert, I do know that they got hurt because they're playing us tomorrow. And Mostert is out. Achan might be out too with an ankle. Mostert has a chest injury. Jeff Wilson Jr. is still there. And I believe they have that rookie. His last name is Wright. Keep an eye on both of them in case these guys are out and you guys need to, maybe they're worth a bench stash. Tyreek Hill is obviously a must start. Jalen Waddle had a really good game, 5 catches for 109 yards. Unfortunately, he didn't see the end zone, but he's still worth starting every week. Tight end position, almost non-existent. So I would start Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle with confidence. Keep an eye on the running back situation moving forward. That's it for that game. Up next is the Patriots and the Bengals. Can't believe the Bengals choked. I know they were without T. Higgins, but come on. They were at home. The Patriots are supposed to be a bottom 5 team in the league, but the Patriots are a crazy team. They beat us last year. They're just not that good on paper. That's why it's the NFL. You just never know what can happen. I always thought Jacoby Brissett was a solid quarterback, whether he was a starter or a backup. Ramondre Stevenson obviously had a killer game. He's a must start every week. But after that, their receiving stats, Hooper 31 yards, Thornton 27, Osborne 21. They spread it out nicely, but I don't think any of their receivers are must starts or worth starting. So just keep an eye on them. The only one I would start for now is Ramondre Stevenson, and that's it. On to Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, not a good game. 164 yards. Zach Moss, he's the clear-cut running back right now. He had 9 carries for 44 yards and a TD. But I thought Chase Brown was going to give him, more of a balance. I thought they were going to kind of use them both equally, but I guess Moss overtook that. For now, I would still keep Brown on your bench and wait to see if he might take over that lead role. Jamar Chase, 6 catches for 62 yards. That's average for him. And that's pretty much it. This other guy, Iosivas, Jasecki, Hudson, Brown, they all had 3 catches for about 18 to 26 yards. So they're not really worth. They're not even worth stashing for right now. So just go with Jamar Chase. Keep an eye on Joe Burrow. Hopefully he picks it up in the season. And if you have a better option, maybe you can trade Burrow early based off of just his name alone. Or you could just wait to see. Maybe they'll pick it up because T. Higgins will be back soon. I don't know if he's coming back this week or he might be off for another week, but maybe it's barely week 1. So just if you feel like you need to trade, because I'm always looking to trade. If you want to trade him, trade him. If you have a better option for your to put in your starting role, then I would go with that. Yeah, and that's it for that game. Up next is Houston and Indianapolis. Man, CJ Stroud, he's still doing his thing. 234 yards, 13 yards rushing. Not as many rushing yards as I thought he would get, but still solid day. Joe Mixon, those were the 2 guys that I wish I could have drafted in my league if I got the opportunity. It was Josh Jacobs, who I talked about earlier, and Joe Mixon. Killer game for him. 159 yards rushing with a TD. Also had 3 catches for 19 yards. They're just must start. A lot of these guys on this team are must starts. You just never know what can happen. Nico Collins, 6 catches for 117 yards. Excellent day even without a TD. My guy Tank Dell didn't do so well. 3 catches for 40 yards, no touchdowns. So I'm just going to wait and see. I'm not going to panic too early. I know Stephon Diggs had his day. 6 catches for 33 yards and 2 touchdowns. So great day for him. That's about 20 points in my league. Dalton Schultz, he was kind of let the lone man out, him and Tank Dell this week. But you got to start them all. They're all must starts. In my opinion. So they're just all at the skilled position. They're all so good. They're all dangerous. They have the opportunity. They have the talent to go for 100 yards and 2 TDs. Each one of those guys. So you just never know. But wait and see. Maybe Stroud will favor Collins and Diggs, and I might have to put Dell on my bench. You just never know. So don't panic too early with them. Great team. They did pull out a victory. Barely. I thought it would be close. Indianapolis, they got a baller on their team. Anthony Richardson, that bomb he threw to Pierce was insane. He did have an interception. He also had 56 yards rushing. That's kind of like where I want to see CJ Stroud in that, maybe 40 to 50 rushing yards per game. But if he doesn't have to do it, then he doesn't have to do it. I'm talking fantasy wise. Jonathan Taylor, 16 carries for 48 yards. Not too good. That's only 3 yards a carry. Did have the TD. What's his name? Alec Pierce. Yeah, he's kind of tricky. He did have that bomb, which is great. It only takes one play to make your fantasy day, or for that player anyway. Michael Pittman, very disappointing, 4 for 31. Don't panic on him. But also, I wouldn't put Pierce too high on your radar. If you want to trade him now, maybe trade him now or next week. But Adonai Mitchell and Josh Downs, he's going to come back from his injury. I just think this team is going to be more balanced. So a lot of these players, yes, one might take over one week and one the next week, but it's kind of a hit or miss. Just keep an eye out, and we'll see what happens with Indianapolis. So I would definitely start Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, and maybe Pittman, maybe Pierce for now. Just keep an eye on them. That's it for that game. Up next is the Titans and the Bears. Oh my gosh, I can't believe the Titans let that one slip away. They were up 17-0. They're just not consistent enough. Will Levis, only 127 yards, got sacked 3 times, had that awful pick 6, had 2 interceptions, the one late in the game. Tony Pollard, very intriguing. I would keep an eye on him. He did really well. He had 82 yards rushing for a touchdown. And he also had 3 catches for 12 yards. So, very good day for Pollard. Tajay Spears, I thought I thought he would get more involved, but just keep an eye on him. You never know. He's definitely worth a stash on your bench. But the receivers all played mediocre. I thought Calvin Ridley was going to have more of a better game because D-Hop was injured. I know they have Tyler Boyd. I think he's a great third option, with D-Hop being 2, or Ridley, D-Hop, however you want to put him, 1 and 2. Their tight end, Okonkwo, I think that's how you say his name. He did have that nice touchdown. I wish he would get a little bit more volume, more targets his way. He only had 2 catches for 15 yards. So keep an eye on him though, because tight ends are just awful at the beginning of this to start the season off. I would start Pollard with confidence, and that's probably it. Keep an eye on Ridley, maybe D-Hop, and the tight end Okonkwo. So moving on to the Bears. Awful day for Caleb Williams. DeAndre Swift had 10 for 30. They did not have a good game. Everybody here going down the list. DJ Moore, 5 catches for 36 yards. Mediocre. Keenan Allen, 4 for 29. Rome Odunze, that's unfortunate. He had that injury. He's going to be out for a few weeks. So maybe Keenan Allen will be back in that second role, because from what I heard is that Rome was kind of pushing him for that second spot. But that ain't going to happen with him out now. So maybe Caleb Williams will step it up. He's a wait and see. I know a lot of people were high on him because he had a great preseason. Preseason doesn't mean anything. So, I mean, yeah, they're getting their feet under them. They're getting in football shape. But once the regular season started, whole new ballgame. We all know that. So, I would maybe start DeAndre Swift with confidence. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, definitely keep starting them. That's it for the Bears. Well, that's it for that game. Up next is the Panthers and the Saints. Panthers are just not a good team right now. I don't know if it's their offensive line. I don't know if it's Bryce Young. They're just not good right now. I drafted Adam Thielen on my bench because I thought he would be more of a safety blanket that he would go to, but he didn't have a great day either. 3 catches for 49 yards. Jonathan Mingo next up, 2 for 40. Xavier Legette, 4 for 35. Deontay Johnson, very disappointing, 2 for 19. And I'm not saying it's their fault. It's definitely on the QB and the offensive line, and who knows what the offensive coordinator is drawing up. So rushing wise, Miles Sanders got 22 yards, Chuba with 14. I just think you got to stay away from the whole Carolina team for right now. They need to figure out what's going on. I don't know if it's the head coach. I don't know what's going on. Just stay away from Carolina. Saints, they look like a damn Super Bowl team. They killed it. Derek Carr had that deep bomb to Shaheed. Kamara had 83 yards rushing with a TD. Even Jamal Williams had 38 yards with a TD. Keep an eye on them. I know it's just one game. I know they played a bad team, but Kamara's a must start. Rashid Shaheed, I think, is also a must start, even though I know he had that bomb, and without it, he would probably have 2 catches for maybe 20 yards or something like that. But he's good. He's a good receiver, and he looks like he's their number 1 wide receiver. Chris Olave, hardly even involved in the game. 2 catches for 11 yards. Taysom Hill, he was all right. He had 35 yards rushing, and he had a catch. So don't panic too much on Olave. Keep an eye on him. But must start for me are Kamara and Shaheed at the moment. That's pretty much it for that game. Up next is the Broncos and the Seahawks. I didn't really get a chance to watch this game, so I'm kind of just going to go based off of the stats right here. Bo Nix had an average game, 138 yards. Didn't look too well of a game. 26 for 42. Got sacked twice, 2 interceptions. Rushed it for 35 yards. Looks like McLaughlin outplayed Javonte Williams barely. Had a couple more carries for 10 carries for 27 yards. Williams had 8 for 23. Josh Reynolds. Oh yeah, this kid Devon Vele. I guess we got to keep an eye on him because he had 8 catches for 39 yards. And I know that's not that many yards based off the catches, but the volume is there. 8 catches is great. That's a great day. Cortland Sutton, 4 for 38. Dolchich, I know I spoke highly of him in my previous video. Just keep an eye on him. Wait and see. Like I said, another tight end who just underperformed. Seems like they all did this week. For must starts in this team, they're more of a wait and see team. I just can't confidently look at one person and say, okay, he's a must start. So just kind of wait and see. If you have to throw somebody in, Javonte Williams, he's the starter. Keep an eye on that situation with McLaughlin there. So that's it for Denver. On to Seattle. Geno Smith had an all right game, 170 yards, had an interception. He did have the rushing touchdown, which was nice. I think it was a 25 or 30 yarder. Kenneth Walker looks like he had a really nice day. 103 yards rushing with a TD. The backup Charbonnet looks like he had 8 carries for 12 yards. So he did take away a few plays from Walker, but it didn't matter. Walker also had 2 catches for 6 yards, so not too much there in the passing game, but definitely a must start every week. Tyler Lockett had a nice game, 6 for 77. DK Metcalf underperformed, 3 for 29. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, 2 for 19. I guess you got to start Walker, Lockett, and Metcalf. Yeah, those are the go-to guys, so just keep an eye on them. You never know, maybe Smith and Jigba will pick it up as the season goes along. And Noah Fant, he was underperformed, 2 for 11, so not much there. That's it for that one. On to Washington and Tampa Bay. Well, I lost my fantasy week because I decided to bench Jaden Daniels for Deshaun Watson very last minute, based off of because Deshaun Watson has been there. He's done that in the past. He's been pretty good. I was on a wait and see with Jaden Daniels just because he's a rookie. And I had this weird thing with rookies where I don't really like starting them. And it bit me in the ass. So definitely moving forward, I'm going to start Jaden Daniels until he proves me wrong. They are playing the Giants next week, so he should have a good game. Man, if I would have started him, I would have won by 6 points. But that's what happens. It is what it is. I choked. Jaden Daniels had 184 yards passing, 88 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns. I know that ain't going to happen every week, but the hype was all preseason that he looked like he could be a Lamar 2.0. So the stats do show that it is possible. So hopefully I found a gem. I think I got him in the 10th round or something like that. I'm going to talk about my team in a separate video, so I'll show you guys that on my next video after I'm done talking about week 1. Rushing wise, Brian Robinson had a pretty good game. 12 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown. Austin Eckler, never been that great of a runner. 2 for 10, but he did pretty decent in the passing game, 4 for 52. Brian Robinson also had a pretty good game, 3 for 49. And Zach Ertz, mediocre. Luke McCaffrey got 3 for 18. Hopefully he can get a few more targets. And Terry McLaurin just underperformed. I don't know what's going on there. So he's a really good wide receiver. Hopefully Daniels can get more chemistry going with him as the season goes along. But for now, looks like you can probably start both running backs, Robinson and Eckler. And I'm going to keep starting Daniels from now on until he proves me wrong. So that was my mistake. It still hurts. I could be 1-0 right now, but I'm not. So it is what it is. On to Tampa Bay. The Muffin Man, Baker, 289 yards passing. He also had 21 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. Jeez, great day for him. As of right now, looks like he's a must start. The only thing that threw me off a little bit was Rachaad White got outplayed by this kid Irving, Bucky Irving. 9 carries for 62 yards for him. Also had 2 catches for 14. Keep an eye on that situation because I almost drafted Rachaad White because I had confidence in what he did last year. But there might be something going on there that I don't know of. Or that maybe you Bucs fans know of and you can fill me in or fill us in. So keep an eye on that situation. Rachaad White and Bucky Irving. The receivers are still there. Chris Godwin had a good day. Actually had a great day. 8 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans also with a great day. 5 for 61, 2 touchdowns. This other guy, I'm not sure who he is. Jalen McMillan. Looks like he had a touchdown. 1 catch for 32 yards and a touchdown, so it must have been a decent chunk downfield. Oh, also, I didn't even see this. Rachaad White, 6 catches for 75 yards. So he was heavily involved in the passing game. It looks like Rachaad White is still going to be the number 1, but just keep an eye on Irving. Rachaad White did have 15 carries for 31 yards. That's not good at all, but the passing is where it really helped him out. So keep an eye on that. I would definitely start White, Godwin, and Evans with confidence, but keep an eye on Irving. You never know what could happen. He could be a good bench stash. So that's going to be it for that game. On to the Rams and Lions. Tough break for Puka Nacua fans. He's going to be out for the next month. Stafford had a great game. He had 317 yards passing with 1 TD. And he did have that interception, but just the way he loves Cooper Kupp. But just the way he was kind of distributing the ball between when Puka went out, between the other receivers. I know Johnson was one of them. I'm not too fond of their names. I do know DeMarcus Robinson. And I didn't get a chance to see Tyler Higbee. I think he was out. Maybe he might be hurt. But they do have this other tight end, Colby Parkinson, who had a pretty decent game. Especially the tight ends were just almost non-existent this week. He had 4 catches for 47 yards. Tyler Johnson is the receiver's name. He had 5 catches for 79 yards. So keep an eye out for him. You might want to pick him up on the waiver wire. He could fill in nicely for Puka at the 2 spot. But Cooper Kupp, insane. 14 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Also had 2 rushes for 10 yards. I mean, it looks like he's back to his old self. The way he was 2 years ago. He was in the MVP conversation. So must start Cooper for Kupp. I have Kyron Williams on my team. I was so disappointed that he didn't get that last touchdown In the fourth quarter, he got stopped at the goal line, but he still was able to give me 50 yards rushing and a touchdown. I was a little disappointed that they don't involve him a little bit more in the passing game. I think he has the potential to do well in that spot. Give him a few screens, do something. Golly, I just wish he had a little bit more from him. But then I guess that's how we all think, right? We always want a little bit more from our players. Always. So anyway, Kyron Williams is a must start. Cooper Kupp is a must start. Keep an eye on Johnson and Parkinson at the tight end position if you're hurting. So I would also start Stafford too. He's a good start. 317 yards, one passing TD, did have that interception. But on to the Lions. Goff kind of had a mediocre game, 217, one touchdown, one interception. David Montgomery had a really nice game, 91 yards and a touchdown. He was almost non-existent in the second half, had a good first half. Then they went to Gibbs in the second half. And then they decided they wanted to go back to Montgomery in overtime, and he took over. So he's a must start every week. So is Gibbs. He had 40 yards rushing for a touchdown, and he also had 4 catches for 34 yards in the receiving game. On to the receiving core. I know Amon-Ra St. Brown had a disappointing game, but Jameson Williams, if you stole him in, let's say, one of the later rounds, I forget which round he was drafted in, but he is going to be nice. He's looking like a must start every week. He had 5 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown, and he also had 1 rush for 13 yards. I would start him. And I would put him in your lineup. Sam Laporta had an average day, 4 for 45. St. Brown underperformed, 3 for 13. And that's pretty much it. You got to start St. Brown every week, though. It looks like he just had an off day, but they're going to figure it out. So start both running backs with confidence. Start St. Brown and Jameson Williams with confidence every week. And Laporta, because the tight end position right now is almost non-existent. That's it for that one. And the last game of the week, Jets at Niners. I thought it was going to be a better game. Rodgers, not that good of a game. 167 yards, interception. It just looked like he was off on his receivers today. The Niners defense is always top of the list, top 3 in the league. If not the best. Breece Hall had 54 yards rushing and a touchdown. He did have that fumble, but he is a must start. That's why he was first in a lot of people's leagues, and he was second in a lot of leagues behind McCaffrey. So you got to start Breece every week. He also had 5 catches for 39 yards, which is, I'll take that for a running back all day. Outside of him, Lazard, he did have that 1 catch on the broken play. I think it was an offsides free play. Looks like he's going to be a must start too. Hopefully that can be Rodgers' second wide receiver, to Garrett Wilson, who also had 6 catches for 60 yards. But I just thought Mike Williams was going to be somewhere in the mix, and he wasn't. I don't know what's going on there, but we'll wait and see. I really think if he can get it going, they have 3 good receivers that Rodgers can throw to. But again, I don't know what happened there. But I would start Hall, Wilson are must starts, and looking like Lazard too. He had 2 touchdowns, so I would start him as well. If not, definitely a bench stash. So that's pretty much it for the Jets. On to the Niners. Who knew McCaffrey was going to be inactive this week? That sucks for whoever drafted him, mainly the number 1 overall. But this kid, Jordan Mason, unbelievable. He's definitely, they got to get him more involved in the running game. He played lights out. He was really good. Looked like they didn't even need McCaffrey for the Monday night game. Purdy played okay. He had 231 yards passing, no interceptions, no touchdowns. Keep an eye on him. If you got to start him, start him. I mean, the Niners are just a top team in the league, so they got all the weapons he needs. Debo had a great day. He had 8 rushes for 23 yards and a touchdown. He's the reason why I also lost in my fantasy league. I was up 10 going into the game, and my opponent had him, and he scored, I think, 20 points or something like that. So, whatever. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. It still does bother me, as you can tell, a little bit. Got to start Debo. Ayuk had an off day. He missed that touchdown in the game. That would have really bumped up his stats, but you got to start Ayuk every game. Kittle went 4 for 40. Jawan Jennings, nice game, 5 for 64. So keep an eye on all them boys. They're all must starts in my opinion. Jawan Jennings, maybe keep him on your bench, but Ayuk and Debo, you got to start them. Don't know how long McCaffrey's going to be out, but if you got Mason, must start every week. Purdy, if you have a better option, go with that. But he's also not a bad option either. He'll end up getting his touchdowns. He just had the Jets have a good defense, and they were running all over them after, since the beginning of the game, it looked like. But that's pretty much it for that. One thing I did forget to mention is the kicker for Houston. Massive game, along with Pittsburgh's kicker, Boswell, and Texans is Fairbairn. They had a massive game, and if you can find yourself a good kicker, I know Aubrey's a great kicker too for Dallas. So I drafted Bucker. I need him to get me some more points. So that's it for that. If I left anything out, let me know. If there's anybody that you might think that you think has potential, let me know. I'll look into it. I need all the help I can get. I'm 0-1, which is fine, whatever. But I'm always looking to make my team better, and I want to hear from you guys. See if we can get anybody that the volume is where it's at. You know what I'm saying? So just let me know. Go Bills.